Got a cranking in here today, don't they? Call the meeting to order for Wicomico County Council Legislative Session 2023-24, December 19th, 2023. Those that like to stand and join us in the Lord's Prayer and Pledge allegiance, please do.
Our Father, who art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth
as it is in heaven. And give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Entertain a motion from council to approve the consent agenda.
So move.
Second. Any discussion or corrections? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Consent agenda is approved. This time, Vice President Merritt is going to read a proclamation to recognize the Parkside Marching Rams for being the 2023 Group 3A National Champions. So really appreciate it. And we'll want to know who everybody is who comes up.
Yeah, thank you
Thank you all for coming out. And congratulations. All right.
We'll want them to all introduce themselves also, Jeff, just, not now, but we'll want them to introduce themselves.
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. It is with great pleasure that the county executive and the members of the Wicomico County Council extend this certificate of recognition to the Parkside High School Marching Rams for being the 2023 Group 3A National Champions. We congratulate you on your accomplishments, done this 19th day of December 2023, signed by our county executive and the Wicomico County Council. John, you want them to introduce?
Yeah, they don't have to speak. Just introduce yourselves. If you want to speak, feel free to speak. We just want to know who's here today. Thank you.
Get a picture after we're done.
All right. So I'm Mr. Spencer Copen. I'm the director of band at Parkside High School. I'd just like to thank the county council for having us out today for this recognition. We really appreciate your support. And I'd also like to thank Mr. Brian Briggs, principal of Parkside High School, Dr. Jeff Baer, supervisor of fine arts, and Dr. Micah Stauffer, superintendent of schools. Now I'll let our student leaders introduce themselves so that they can be recognized for their hard work.
Good morning, guys. My name is Lauren Solzbach Oliveira, and I am the brass captain at Parkside High. I am a junior and play tuba, and I am very grateful to have the opportunity to be here.
My name is Megan Chatterton. I'm the color guard captain. I'm a junior and I spin a flag.
That's good.
Hi, good morning. I'm one of the drum majors. The other two were sick, so I'm here. And I'm very happy to be here today.
What's your name?
Oh, Justin Riddleberger.
Thank you.
Sure.
Just like.
Hold that hold.
Well spoken.
All of us.
Junior.
Thank you very much.
She looks smart. She looks it. Ms. Hurley?
Morning, Council President, council members, ladies and gentlemen. Before we begin, we have one change to announce to the agenda today, and that is work session number 2 on the proposed liquor legislation will be postponed to a meeting in January. And looking at the agenda, the first item is a public hearing on resolution number 169-2023. This is amending the fiscal year 2024 budget position control document, Exhibit F, and the pay and classification plan to retitle position number 100065 to Deputy State's Attorney. A public hearing notice was posted on the county's website and published in the local newspaper, and we have our State's Attorney, Mrs. Jamie Dykes, here if you have any questions.
This time we open the floor for a public hearing on resolution number 169, 2023. If you have any comments you'd like to make, come to the podium, please. State your name, your county of residence, and your concerns. That concludes public hearing for resolution 169, 2023. Entertain a motion from council to approve resolution 169, 2023.
Second.
Second. Discussion. Madam State's Attorney, if you'd like to join us.
Thank you.
You can bring-
Thank
you can bring any,
Mr.
but-
Smith will join me.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I appreciate the HR director, the county executive, and the council for moving this request forward. Scott Messersmith has been with us since June of 2019. Scott is a consummate leader. And has proven himself not only as a strong litigator, he is currently the team leader of our largest team, our violent crime unit, has tried many homicides in his 5 years with us, but has also been a wonderful team player and has this is good not only for myself, but the entire office. Scott was formerly with the U.S. Navy, a lieutenant commander for 9 years with them. He was a former assistant state's attorney in Anne Arundel County for, I believe, almost 10 years. 8, okay. And was in private practice for about 13 years, I believe. I first met Scott, kind of a funny story. I won't rub it in like I usually do, but we tried a homicide. I was prosecuting a homicide. He was defending a homicide in Dorchester County, and he impressed me then, and I was grateful to have the opportunity to hire him in 2019. So I do not make this request lightly, and if you have any questions, we're both here to answer those.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead. Comments?
No, was there anybody in the deputy state's attorney's position? No, not right now?
No, there hasn't been for a few years now.
Oh, okay.
And Scott is proven as the best choice for this county. I'm grateful for his service to not only public safety here, but to the community at large, so.
He's been here for 5 years so far? Okay. Well,
All those in favor of resolution 169, 2023, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried, resolution passes. Congratulations, by the way. I'm glad to see everything's working out because you have such a great operation there. You really do.
It's all about the right people.
A good addition, yes.
thanks, Scott.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas. Happy
Yep,
holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Next is the submission of the capital improvement plan for fiscal years 2025 through 2029 by our county executive, Julie Giordano, and our finance director, Mrs. Pam Olin.
Morning.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. There it is.
Thank you.
So as Pam is passing this out, presented in front of you is my proposed capital improvement plan for fiscal years 2025 through 2029, beginning July 1st, 2024, and ending June 30th, 2029. I'm going to let Pam run the show and take you through some of the highlights, and we'll go from there. And if you have any questions, please let us know.
So as you know, the charter states that we are required to submit the capital improvement plan to council by the third Tuesday in December. So that is today. We are presenting you our proposed capital improvement plan. As I have stated multiple times over the last several years, that 2025, we're not looking to borrow as much money as we have been the last couple years. We're looking at about $10.7 million, and that's only 3 projects. That is $4 million to do the roof at the Civic Center. That roof is original to the rebuild, and it is time to replace that. Since I've been with the county, we have talked about, and I've been here over 10 years now, replacing that roof, and it's time. The patch, it's time to stop just patching. We need to fix that. So there's $4 million in here for the replacement of the roof. There's $4 million in here for Fruitland Primary to continue that project. And there's $2.7 million to do some expansion, primarily for medical purposes, out at the correctional facility. The rest of the projects are either bond or PAYGO funded because we do not have a lot of debt falling off our books in 2025. So anything that we add would be additive to our debt service and to the amount that we have under our debt limit. Our debt service is at the end of 2024 would be about 7 points. We have a debt service policy, and that we should keep it less than 12% of general fund revenue. At 2024, with the debt that we've borrowed in 2024, we're at 7.47%. And our debt limit, we're at 64%. With the debt that we have borrowed. That number has stayed relatively stable, even with the additions, but that's primarily because of the growth in the assessed value, because that is based on assessable base. Most of the other projects are ones that most of them have been in here prior. So anything that council has had in a previous plan would say existing project in the write-ups. Anything that is new this year that is coming on would be listed as a new project. Again, we request council to adopt this plan. I know typically council extends the deadline for adoption. My request is that council adopt it February, March timeframe so that we have a basis to go on what we put in the budget, because this is a plan. This is a planning document. It is to help executive and council make decisions as to what should be in the budget for fiscal 25. Yes, we do 4 additional years, but the main focus should be on 25 because that's the year that we're going to be budgeting for next. And then additionally, I'm available for any work sessions council has. I am not available on the January 2nd council meeting, but I am available after that for any of the other council meetings if you'd like to have any work sessions to discuss anything that's in here.
We just got this, of course, we haven't been able to go through it. You said you're going to, about $10 million in borrowed funds?
Yes.
And some from PAYGO. How much from PAYGO?
That is approximately 11.3 rounded up.
Now, is that coming out of our reserve fund?
That would come out of our reserve fund. Again, we have, as we have stated over the last several years, we have grown that fund significantly, and it is beneficial to the county to do these capital projects. That's why we have put them in here, is that it is just sitting on the money. Actually, when we went to New York this year, just sitting on the money is not something that New York is looking for us to do. They're looking for us to maintain and grow our infrastructure, whether or not it's replacing buildings, adding buildings, renovating parks, renovating playgrounds, keeping our quality of life here in the county with projects that we intend that are necessary for those things.
Well, I'm sure that's important, but I've always heard in years past that it's important to have a good reserve fund.
But it is, and we have that, and we have
Beyond.
we have that, and we have. Again, since I have been in this position, we have significantly grown that reserve fund well beyond any. I mean, we're one of the highest in the state and so to just sit on that and not use it to the benefit of our taxpayers, my recommendation is yes, that we spend it. Now, this is a plan. As we go to do the budget, and we look at where we come in for the 2024, we come in, look at what's going on in legislative session with the state, we may have to make changes. That is why we do a plan. We do a plan to give us a roadmap to start from. And then we come to council with what we think is the best number for the county at that point in time when we implement or when we present the budget on the third Tuesday in April.
I may have misunderstood you, but I thought last year you had said there was no plan to take any money out of the PAYGO account.
No, I've never stated that.
My question is, what is a large number for the reserve? What would that be? What is New York saying is too much money? And
They won't give us a number. I mean, we beat every benchmark that our auditors state we should have. I can get you a better percentage on that, but
Just to give you an idea, James, so larger counties like Howard County, Baltimore County, they have anywhere between 35 to 40 million, and we're over 60 about. So just to be transparent with numbers. So
I know Baltimore is like broke.
well, I don't think they're broke. I think that I think they have a larger county, that they have a lot of things that they have to put into it. Right. Our hope is the county taxpayers of Wicomico County pay taxes to us. It is our job to take care of the county that they live in. And so the projects that we're looking at are schools and roads and, fixing facilities that bring us, revenue for the Civic Center. So
So we had a town hall last week, and one of the concerns was the Barron Creek Bridge. I know there was, I think we had like 25 people in the audience, and I would say most of them wanted to see something done with that bridge. Mm-hmm. They said they've been waiting 7 months. Would that be a capital improvement that would be looked for?
it is listed in here. There's no funding yet for it. There is currently the balance, and I did not check this. There was originally $850,000 allocated to that project. So that is listed in here showing that there's $850,000. We have spent a portion of that on plans. I don't remember how much is remaining. Since it has been so long since plans have been updated, everything has been approved, we would have to rebid that whole project to have a concept as to how much. And so we have a placeholder for this for it. We do not have a dollar amount in here.
Okay.
Barron Creek is a little tricky right now. So there was an original cost, and then there was fish spawning that were happening. So there was a fish ladder situation that needed to happen. Now, over time, beavers have dammed up Barron Creek, and so therefore there really isn't fish passage at this point in time. So our plan in the spring is to have DNR potentially come back out and reevaluate. They may still say that we need to have the fish passage situation, or they may say, hey, Mother Nature sort of took its course and so things have changed. I don't want to speak for them, but we do plan to kind of see what that is going to look like because something has to be done with it. We can't leave it in its current state right now. So, and we know that.
Okay. And another question. The West Metro Core was brought up as well, and people were concerned about how much it's going to cost. One gentleman said that they would like it to be a farm, and I understand that we need to do something with it. And then another gentleman said, could we take that money that we're going to use in excess to build a really nice park and reinvest in another park to maybe change some of the baseball fields, the soccer fields, or add lighting in areas, and just to enhance what we have instead of building brand new.
So the land was purchased with program open space.
Right.
The previous council, we had requested to move the program open space designation to another location. And the previous council decided they did not want to see that happen. So
because of the public coming forward and saying you're forgetting about us on the West End.
So I'm stating what the time, so the previous timeline is that they still wanted a park.
Right.
So we have not changed that designation. It cannot be used for, we would have to find other parkland to change that, and it would have to have similar value, similar size, similar dollar amount, all of those things to be able to move that designation. So at this point in time, we have spent funds to do a plan. The plan currently does not have us building until 2028. So it is not a 2025 project. That is not money in the current plan. And
Our focus right now is Pirates Wharf and getting all of those phases complete. So we don't feel it's very financially wise to kind of parallel these two at this point in time, get our focus on Pirates Wharf, finish that project, and then move on to West Metro. So I think the state, we're hoping anyway, we'll find it reasonable that we have a plan, we've moved forward, we've done town halls, we've had public input, and then, where to go from there.
I think the big concern that I was hearing was having too many parks and then having to maintain all these parks, because that's a cost that's going to be repetitive every single year. I think that was just more or less one of the concerns.
I will say, Mr. Baker, I have stated for multiple years that we would be borrowing as little as possible. I have never stated that we would not use PAYGO funding. So maybe that is what you're remembering, but PAYGO has always been on the table as an option.
Can we, oh, go ahead, James.
And maybe I'm wrong, but I thought we had discussed, I didn't think there was going to be many capital projects.
There's 3
this year.
Well, there's 3 for bond, and then there is a whole list that adds up to $11 million, and that list is probably 25 plus things. So, I mean, we're talking about multiple projects with smaller dollars. Again, typically if something is $1 million plus, we don't PAYGO it.
Yeah.
We borrow for that. So again, the 3 biggest projects we're borrowing for. But again, at this point in time, that is what we're proposing. When we present the budget, we may have to reevaluate those numbers, as I said, based on what comes out of Annapolis, what we're looking at for assessable base growth, and all of those factors. So again, this is intended to be a planning document to help us craft what are our most pressing priorities for fiscal '25 when we create the budget, but also to give council and the public a view of the other things that are in the pipeline for the future.
I know it's a delicate balance to try to know how much to keep in reserves and not keep in reserves. And I know that over the years, I've heard that the bonding companies love to see the county have a good reserve. Is there any documentation or reports that says what you said about they want us to spend down our reserves?
So if you read some of the reports that came out from Standard & Poor's and Moody's from this last time, they're not going to blatantly state spend your fund balance, but it does state, it does state that we have that fund balance and that it could be used to benefit the county.
We have those reports.
I don't recall seeing.
Yeah, could you send those to us?
Can we get those highlighted just so we're on the same page? The other question, so we're going to use, I think, 11 million. So what would our reserve be at the end of the year?
I think it would just be too hard to guess depending on.
I don't yet have the
Yeah, we don't
24
have those
number,
numbers.
so well, let me rephrase that. I don't yet have the final 23 number, and I have not pulled a projection for what 24 is. Again,
Is that what you call carry forward?
yeah. So, but so far in 24, yes, the state is talking about not budgeting as much for '25, but none of our revenue streams for '24 have slowed significantly. We have had some slowing in recordation, but that, yes, we have made recordation numbers the last several years, but that's still a small percentage of our number. Our two largest revenue sources are income tax and real property tax, and both of those are still currently strong for us.
We've been warned by our delegates that, there could be significant cuts from the state coming to the counties over the period of the next couple of years.
So we've been told that hold flat on highway user. So when we budget for that, there will be no growth in that number. That will be held flat. Our highway user number still is very much lower than before the last set of cuts. I mean, we used to get like $7 million, and I think we get like 1.7 million now. So again, all of those factors go into when we present the actual budget to you. I will have the audit. I will have a projection for '24 because I'll have another 3 months of results, and we'll have the ability to say, maybe $11 million isn't the right time, and we will have to go to our departments and we will have to talk about, okay, you have this list of things in here. Additionally, there are some new projects listed in here for water and sewer projects. So all of that, a majority of that is listed under pay-go because as of yet, we have no revenue stream for that. So in this plan, there is almost $1 million for water and sewer projects, and I think 100% of that is pay-go. So just there alone is $1 million of the $11 million.
Yeah.
And we know that those projects, that project concept of a water and sewer wherever we're putting it needs to move forward. So again, we have looked at what has been presented by the departments. We met with every department. They all made their submissions. And we met with every department and said, okay, what are the top priorities? And we worked with them and said, okay, some of these things might need to be shuffled. And we did. We asked them, okay, of your list, what is your top priorities? What things could possibly be pushed? Because again, we looked at, if you look at the Board of Education's original request for Fruitland Primary, they're asking for $20 million. I don't feel, as the finance director, we have $20 million to borrow for Fruitland Primary right now. So that is something that council and we're going to hear about, but $20 million is not something that I wanted to borrow in addition to the other two borrowings that we need.
Well, it's probably premature, but to even ask some of the questions that, we've not been through this, but when it comes to water and sewer, I'm sure there's going to be some opportunity for grants that, that we can get somebody some. That's all the questions I have. But Pam, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Josh?
Yeah, just two quick questions that you may or may not be able to answer. But first of all, I guess as far as our revenue goes, I think it was last year or the year before that was the first time, correct me if I'm wrong, that our income tax was higher than our property tax revenue. Are we on track to that still be the case? If that is the case.
Income tax is larger than real property. When you add personal property tax, those two together are still larger than income tax. So yes, last year was the first year that income tax beat real property tax. I'll be honest, I have not compared the two for 24. Again, we're ahead of last year's collections at this point in time on income tax. Every time we get an income tax payment, we have a MACO finance directors meeting. We meet with the comptroller's office to get, they give us a write-up, and all of those things are still indicating that yes, there's growth in those numbers. They're not expecting the growth to continue at the level that we have been. They're not predicting a decrease in income tax at the moment. They're predicting a leveling off of income tax.
And then just one other question. Looking at the state grant for the funding sources, currently 2025, nothing listed, and then it rapidly goes up to nearly $1 million over 2029, starting in next year, or starting into the probably 2026, FY 2026 to 119. So it slowly escalates. What is the funding? Just curious.
I'm not sure which page are you looking
The
at?
page 4 under funding sources.
What?
Under funding sources at the bottom of the
Okay,
page.
but that's not all departments. If you notice, if you actually go to page 3 is a summary of all departments.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the state grant.
Yeah, but if you go, but again, that's only various departments, because if you go to page 3,
It's 4.5 million in state
we're
grant.
looking at $4.5 million in state grants across all funds and all departments. That page that you're looking at on
Okay,
page
just the various
4
departments.
is the smaller departments and the smaller requests. So Health Department, Emergency Services, Elections, Corrections. At this moment, there's no state grant sources for those specific departments. But if you continue to flip back, there is, honestly, the state grant number is being driven significantly by Rec Parks and Tourism, page 7, almost $4.3 million in state grants. So it just so happens the projects that were listed in those small departments don't have a state grant source. But we are looking at, again, across all departments, 4.5, 2 million, 734,000, 2 million, and $1 million.
Gotcha.
So again, it's also easier to identify state grants for the year that you're coming up on versus years 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there could still be opportunities for state grants in 2, 3, 4, or 5, but we have identified sources for 25 for up to almost $4.6 million in state grants.
I'm glad to see that still looks healthy, even just considering potential
Yeah.
revenue issues. Thank you.
Yes.
I think, appreciate you being here. I think there's somewhat, you can sense somewhat of a reluctance on the part of the council when we're talking about PAYGO funding and talking about actually spending down the reserves. The reason that we have such high reserves is because I think we've taken a pretty conservative stance over many, many, many years. And we really are going to be more reluctant to see that spent down. And it's getting, I think it's rather quickly where we've seen a lot of that more recently. My concern here is that, when you're looking at spending PAYGO especially, or even using your reserve, that's something that's maybe like a major capital expense, maybe special projects that come about. Maybe if we have to come up all of a sudden with matching funds for the state of Maryland on some of these issues. The state is projecting shortfalls this year. It's nice to make sure we have the reserves on shortfalls or just emergencies as a whole. And that's the purpose of the reserves. And again, as Joe said, it's only been a brief overview, so we can't really critique it that much and don't want to. But there are what I consider to be numerous renovations in here. And I think a lot of the renovation projects as a county, we should be more self-sustaining and addressing those renovations and whatever large maintenance projects there might be with what we project as our incoming revenues, as opposed to continuing to draw down our reserves.
So I will add a couple comments on that respect.
Sure.
A portion of the PAYGO is matching funds for grants.
Sure.
So that $4.6 million worth of state grants is predicated on us matching it.
Agreed.
So some of those cannot go away unless we want the grant to go away.
Mm-hmm.
Secondarily, we have grown our fund balance over the last several years, yes, while still budgeting to spend PAYGO. So we haven't. We have had enough revenue growth that we have been able to grow our fund balance while still budgeting the use of fund balance, which we haven't done.
So what she's saying is the money that we spent last year that you were concerned about in PAYGO, we made enough revenue to make that up. So while it seemed like we were negative 10 million, we really are plus 2 million because we had an additional 12. So we spent the money, but rather than it being 70, it's at 60, but that's what it was the year before.
So again, I am conservative by nature. That's what an accountant is most of the time. So I'm not recommending willy-nilly that we spend $50 million in any given year on PAYGO funds. But one of the challenges we have as a county is that if we don't continue to use our funding, and my only recommendation to use or to use fund balance is to use it on capital projects. I don't recommend we ever use it, if we can avoid it, on maintaining our operations. So again, it is a prudent financial decision, and we can get into that. And honestly, as I've stated, this is a plan to give us the best basis for what we come to you with budget. If we take it out of the plan at this point in time, it makes it more difficult in the budget time, if we have sufficient funds, to put it back in. Ultimately, the executive has presented a plan. We're asking council to review it, add comments, make changes if they feel it is necessary. But ultimately, this does not fund anything. This is a planning document to help us make decisions for funding for the budget.
You're talking about revenues and growth and things like that, and how we've done in the last few years. I don't want to conflate true revenue enhancements with ARPA funding as well.
And we have not built our reserves on ARPA funding.
Well, the ARPA funding has allowed us a lot of leeway, I think, over the last few years.
I think ARPA allowed us to complete projects that probably would have taken us years and years and years, absolutely.
No doubt, no doubt. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, Jan.
When you're reviewing this and we send our questions, I'm doing it, making it public, because people want to know about the Indian Village Playground. I think our playgrounds are for our children, and I don't see any projects outside the library for children. And
There's, sorry, don't mean to interrupt you, but page 7 is all rec parks and tourism. And so
Okay.
in there is playground equipment, tennis courts, all
I
things.
saw that, I already marked that, but what I need to know, the question I need to ask you, I said I would make a request that I would need to know how much it would cost to actually get new playground equipment for the Indian Village Playground and renovation of their concession stand. Because if you look at the playground equipment, it doesn't even look safe for the kids to play on. So that's my request. I know it's not in here.
So just to comment on that, Shani, so the playground equipment at Indian Village was used with program open space money. It has not been 20 years yet. So that will be a question that we will have to ask our department head how that works. So it wouldn't be able to use program open space money. It would have to be another funding source, because you have to wait 20 years to use program open space again. That specific funding source. So we would have to look for an additional funding source for that.
Okay.
Jenny, was that it? Did you?
Yes,
You
that's
had
it.
something else?
No, that's it.
Did you have a comment?
No, I was just making sure Shani got the word in.
To make sure she's good.
Yeah.
Nope. Thank you very much. We
Yeah,
really
thank
appreciate
you.
it. We'll have future work sessions. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, thanks.
Next is a submission of an appointment to the Wicomico County Commission for Women. Mr. Bunky Luffman is here, I believe.
Go.
Sorry, I was calling Steve Moore to ask about Indian Village. The basketball court and fencing is, he plans on doing that this coming year. So I was trying to get you an answer out in the hall.
I knew that. Yeah, I knew that one. But
All right. Make sure if he calls me back, it'll go. Sorry. So we're here for appointment for Commission Women. My name is Bunky Luffman, Director of Administration. It's Dr. Catherine Jones, who's the chair. So the Commission on Women is a nonpartisan organization dedicated to enriching the lives of women and families by focusing on issues of importance and concern to them, including education, economic opportunities, health care, social issues, and legislation. It advocates for women and advises the county executive and county government on all areas of concern. So if you have any specific questions to the commission, I'm going to allow the doctor probably to answer those. Otherwise, we're here for the submission.
Okay, so for your consideration is resolution number 170-2023. This is confirming the appointment of Brittany Young, BSCHES, to the Wicomico County Commission for Women.
A motion from council to approve resolution number 170, 2023.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Resolution 170, 2023 passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is the submission of an appointment to the Local Management Board.
And we have our director, Tim Bosman, who's going to join me. So this is for ex officio member of the board. The purpose of the local management boards promote safe, healthy, and stable environment for all county children and families by achieving a comprehensive system of education, health, and human service whose effectiveness and responsiveness addresses the needs of children and families through public and private interagency collaboration. And we're here for the submission, but if you have any L&B questions, Tim's the guy.
So for your consideration is resolution number 171-2023. This is confirming the appointment of Jennifer Loring as an ex officio member of the Local Management Board.
Can a motion approve resolution number 171, 2023?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Resolution passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. President, that is all I have.
Thank you. This time, we open the floor for public comments. If you have any public comments you'd like to make, come to the podium, please. State your name, your county of residence, and your concerns. I'd like to note that we have President of the Hebron Commissioners, Mr. Colby Thippen. Good to see you.
Yep.
And whatever guests you might like to introduce.
I've got Commissioner Ken Dick here with me.
Good to see you, Ken. Looks like you have an entourage.
Sort of.
Jim Atkins, Wicomico County. My favorite subject again. We did have a town hall meeting last week in Mardella. There were some people who were vocal about Barron Creek Road being reopened. They've been vocal about it for 7.5 years. It hasn't made the council in 7.5 years replace that road. The importance of that road is so important. 7.5 years, that road has not been replaced. These people were also concerned about the revisions that are happening at Old Railroad Road and Route 50 by the State Highway Administration. They were unhappy with the State Highway Administration's plans. Well, I can tell you, just based off common sense, that if Barron Creek Road is ever reopened, the same plans that the State Highway Department has for Old Railroad Road will have to be implemented at Barron Creek Road. You're creating a problem there. You're creating a problem. This has been going on for 7.5 years. According to the CIP for 2024 through 2028, there are no funds proposed for Barron Creek Road by the county executive. So what are we doing, folks? It shows that the $850,000, of which I believe $357,000 was already spent, expires at the end of fiscal year 23, according to the CIP. So at the end of the CIP for 2023, there is no money budgeted for Barron Creek Road. Can we, in this budget process and capital improvement process, can we get a decision on Barron Creek Road? I have 4 council members, whether I agree with them or disagree with them, who have told me their position on Barron Creek Road. There's 3 more that I'd love to get their position if they'd ever give it to me, but I'd like a decision made on Barron Creek Road. What are we going to do with it? The beavers just didn't pop up. The beavers have been there for a while. If anybody had ridden down the Barron Creek Road yesterday, you would have seen what caused Barron Creek Road to wash out in 2016, because it was there yesterday with 5 inches of rain coming out of Sussex County down Barron Creek to Barron Creek Road. You would have seen the exact same thing that happened 7.5 years ago. Fiscal responsibility. You want to spend $3 to $5 million to fix a road that is of absolutely no importance to anybody other than a shortcut. Fire and EMS don't have to have it. The school board doesn't have to have it. There's no local businesses in the area that have to have it. Close the road down. A comment was made that needs to be corrected, that there's only one person opposed to rebuilding Barron Creek Road. There are more than one persons opposed. There is only one property landowner, taxpayer on Barron Creek Road that is opposed. There are 2. Both of the property owners on Barron Creek Road that live on Barron Creek Road are opposed. The county is one of the 4 property owners, and the Historical Society in Mardella, which happens to be the Atkins Historical Society, coincidentally, once the road opened. It's not necessary, folks. If you need money for Fruitland, if you need $20 million for a Fruitland Intermediate School, I got $4 million in Mardella you can have. Don't waste it on something that's not needed because a few people went around and said, we'll get that road open for you. Vote for us, we'll get that road open for you. You don't need that road. You need the money more than you need the road.
Mr. Atkins. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Joe White. I'm from Wicomico County. I come here today. I've been to several of the last county council meetings throughout the summer and been to town halls hosted by the executive and unfortunately couldn't go to James this last week. Parks and Rec meetings and open meetings about Parks and Rec projects and ideas. One of the topics I've brought up in comments I've made previous was when you had an opportunity with the director, Steve Miller, with the West Metro Park, was to ask about programming. I'm going to be honest, I was disappointed 2 weeks ago that not a single question was asked in that regard. I still think those need to be asked. I've taken the time, I was challenged by the county executive to spend some time with Director Miller, and I have. It was a great meeting. I do think one of the things he's up against, and it kind of rang true with Ms. Shields' comments earlier about Indian Village, is one of the challenges I feel like they're having, and I think he would need to be the one to speak to it directly, so don't let me put words in his mouth, is they're trying to fund our youth parks and rec almost at a zero net. And part of their challenge is when you're running the Civic Center, like you're talking about a roof now and capital projects, if their goal has to be to always earn every dollar back that they're going to spend as a fiscally conservative person, I would love to meet that challenge. But if we're unable to, and we're unable to meet the needs of the kids, whether it's in Indian Village, on the east side of the county, or in Hebron, I've worked with the 2 gentlemen I'm sitting next to in Hebron on youth sports as boots on the ground. We're able to run youth sports in unused softball fields throughout the county. I would love to see the West Metro Park built, and I love seeing parks like Pirates Wharf And I'd love to see Conley Mill open to our public and not to another group. Here's where the rubber's meeting the road, and I wish I could get more public folks to come in and speak to it, but I'm going to speak to it as a taxpayer and as a dad and as a coach for soccer, softball, and indoor soccer. If the facilities we have don't have an impact on the residents that are here, those same ones who are paying taxes, who are they a benefit for? If we build this Little League park in Del Mar, it's going to benefit the Little League Del Mar. And that's great, that's awesome. But it's also being built to help the elementary school, and it's also being built to bring in some outside revenue. So you start chalking these up to wins. As a business owner, hey, if you get 3 wins out of $1, that's great. But when you have a passive park like Pirates Wharf, there are amenities for the whole public to use. But when you have amenities like the Civic Center or Winter Place Park or Nick Meyer Park that have to have some sort of programming, why would we spend 1 nickel on those if they don't impact the same people who the nickel's coming from? You know, I want to bring tourism here. It benefits me and my business. There's no doubt. But at the same time, if that other part of the question's not being asked, the people who don't have a vote, the kids, some of them who maybe don't have the same family life that some of us here may provide for our own families, they're the ones being left behind. And I think that if you don't ask the question about programming, you're handcuffing someone like Steve Miller from being able to actually run our Parks and Rec department to benefit our residents.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Seeing none, that concludes public comments. Council comments.
Okay, I'll start. Yes, on Wednesday, I believe it was Wednesday, right? Yeah. We had a town hall. We had multiple things come up. Barron Creek was one of them, yes. West Metro Car was one of them, yes. And then the highway, that was a big part of it. That took about an hour of it. We had the State Highway Administration, Mark Crampton, and a couple of his people come out, and they explained what's happening at the crossing at Old Railroad Road and Route 50 going across where Wright's Market is. And they proposed 2 J-turns on the inside of the median. So there will be no crossing anymore. It'll just be for emergency use only. So it seemed that most of the people there were wanted to see a light. They wanted to see something different. They were very much happy that there was something happening. It's just they were hoping to see a light. So we asked Mark Crampton, I think it's Crampton, we asked Mark if he could go do another survey, and he actually offered to do another survey on the intersection to see if they can reevaluate it, see if a light merits or not. And I actually asked for the last survey to see what they did on the last one, to see what the process was and what day they surveyed it and all the details. I'm trying to get the details. But anyway, Wednesday was, I think, a productive night. It gave me a little bit more insight of what people wanted, and I would like to intend to do something on the east side of town, because I know Mr. White would like to go to something like that on his side of town. But anyway, I don't know if anyone's got any more comments on that. I know Joe and Jeff were both there, and then we had Chris Adams, Johnny Motts, Tom Hutchinson, and am I forgetting anyone? Nope, I think that's it. Thanks.
Good. Thank you, James. Any other comments? Jeff?
Well, I just want to thank everybody for coming out today. We're approaching the holiday, and it's a busy time for everybody. So 4 of us are closing out our first year on the council, and I guess we could say it's been exciting. I can say it's been I honestly can say it's been a pleasure working with my fellow council members. We don't always agree with each other, but we can not agree with each other and then 2 hours later go have a beer. So it's great to have that type of relationship. And we dealt with all kinds of issues, the easy ones, the hard ones, and here we are. I do want to thank Mrs. Hurley and Mrs. Ingold for their service to our council. I think, John, it's safe to say we probably couldn't operate without them.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, they do a phenomenal job at what they do. And I just want to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and a happy holiday season to everybody. And if you're traveling, be safe, and looking forward to the new year. That's it.
Josh?
Yeah, so a couple things. First of all, I'd say a ditto on that. Thank you, Ms. Hurley. I think Lauren and Lynn, you are fantastic. And of course, wishing everybody a happy Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. We'll see you next year, that thing. But I did also want to say, recognize this past weekend, we had a remembrance of Greg Bassett.
Right.
Who was, of course, the editor of the Salisbury Independent and has former with the Daily Times, but really just an incredible journalist, which, maybe people don't remember that term, but a journalist used to be a person who would get facts and present them. We don't have those anymore in the United States, but he was one of them, and he was our journalist, and he was a great journalist, and he actually cared, and he was a historian. So it was a great remembrance for Greg Bassett. We need more journalists, period. We need more people that care about that for the good of a democracy. And then two other items I want to bring up. Just so it's said, of course, I want to have this as my annual put a stake in Barron Creek Road. As a kid, I've gone over that bridge when it was there, 1,000 times in my life. Driven over myself hundreds of times. But it is not a good spot for that. It's a waste of money. My brother lives on the opposite side of the river, or of the creek. We need to kill that project officially, personally. That's my view. But I'm no longer a Mardella resident, so I'll leave that to other folks. And then last things, just to make sure, we said a year ago, let's make sure that we get some sort of liquor legislation put together and have it hopefully in hand in August of this past year. And of course, August turned into September, October, November, December. Now we're going into January, another legislative session. I've still not seen any bill text. We really, 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 really need to have that together. We can't get any bill moved through, as you all know, as the executive branch knows, we can't get anything done in General Assembly unless this council provides a letter of support. So I want to be able to see a bill as quickly as possible. I know you've got a lot going on, a lot of internal negotiation. I haven't been involved with it. I'm okay for now. If they do later, that's good for me. But I just want to say, however it's happened, the sooner we can get information out, the better, and broadly. I know it's not been a great process, but if you want to move it forward this year, we've got to have something now, and I mean now. So that's all I got.
Joe?
Well, first of all, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone. It's been an exciting year. It's been a good year. And we couldn't do it without the staff and our county employees. Yesterday morning, I had a phone call about 6:30 for a tree down on Arvey Road, and I got in contact with one of our roads guys, and they got it taken care of. They had other projects they were working on. Apparently, they had a lot of trees down. We had a lot of rain. We had 6 inches of rain in a matter of about 12 hours, and that was unusual. I did have a lady call me yesterday and said her ditch was full of water. I said, well, that's where it's supposed to be. Anyway, her yard wasn't full, but there are some people with your yards. But, I went down some roads this morning, and they had water in them yesterday, and they disappeared. So it'll get back to normal. Thank everybody for what they've done in the past year. My colleagues up here on the council, and Jeff, I would drink a beer with you if I drank beer, but I don't, so anyway.
I was going to ask, is that an invitation?
Any other comments?
I just want to say that also it's been a pleasure working with the men, since I'm the only female. And they have been most respectful to me, and we have fun. We may disagree on some things, but I think we have a good working relationship. And James, I take him as my son, and sometimes I put my mama hat on to give him some advice. And I've noticed that he is learning some things. I might not agree all the time, but I disagree with a smile. You know, when you come up with some weird stuff, I just smile at him because I know he's learning. And you're supposed to ask questions if you don't know. And also, I like to make a public comment to the public that in order for, especially me in my district, I would like to see more of the people I represent to come to the meetings so they can come up to the podium and explain their concerns to all the council members, not just me, because I'm one person. And I also want to say a happy holidays, and I'll be in Hebron tomorrow at the restaurant. I'll be down there tomorrow.
I want to thank everybody for coming out today and wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
John, I have one more thing to add. I didn't write it down. I was at the meeting Wednesday night, and there was a lot of concern with the citizens about the J-turn that the state wants to put in. We went through that same situation in Pittsville a few years ago. They came to us with a plan, just about exactly of what they want to do at Old Railroad Crossing. That's what they wanted to do. And citizens down there, the fire department, the elected officials, everybody got together. We had meetings with the State Highway Administration, 2 or 3 meetings, in fact, and they finally got that changed. So if citizens of Hebron, that area, are interested in doing anything, I would suggest you get with your council members, your delegates, set up meetings, get some input from your fire department members, from the citizens of that area. Right now, they haven't broken ground, so it's time to move on that if you want to. So I see some folks here from the Hebron area, so that's some advice for you. We did get it changed. It was unbelievable how we got it changed. I mean, they were set in stone that that's what they were going to do, but with enough support from the community, it all changed. So anyway, thank you.
And I'll say I really appreciate Joe being at that last meeting because that was a good insight of information that I didn't know.
Joe has a lot of institutional knowledge.
Yeah, he's been around a while.
Well, so have you, Joe.
Under presidential comments, yeah, James, I couldn't attend. I did have a prior engagement on the event, but I heard it went very well. I also did not get the opportunity to attend Greg Bassett's celebration of life. I wish I could have done that, but I was out of town, which was very unfortunate because I think a lot of people consider Greg to be a good friend. If you knew him well enough, he was a good friend, period. It was just his nature. Whenever we did interviews, like one-on-one, things like that, I think we would laugh half the time. And Tom's in the back. He's got to cut and retake because Greg just doesn't leave things alone sometimes. But a really good friend, a great sense of humor and a very sharp wit. And he was also, as has been mentioned here before, excellent journalistic standards. He was a historian. He had the institutional knowledge as well. But over and above all else, he was an excellent journalist. I would read sometimes some of his articles, and I'm on the council. I'm going, I did not know that. He would have things that I wasn't aware of, and I would save the articles, or I would cut and paste what I was reading online, because he got it, and he reported it, and he was very balanced, very fair in what he did, and he was also just an excellent individual. We certainly will miss him. So, that being said, entertain a motion to adjourn from legislation to go into to legislative session, to go into an open work session.
So moved.
Excuse me? Oh, no. Well, hold on a second. Hang on a second. Yeah, okay. Sorry. It's a long one.
Yeah, you got to finish it.
It's a long one. Entertain a motion to adjourn from legislative session to go into open work session, followed by a closed work session pursuant to the general provisions article section 3-305B3 and 8 as follows: to consider the acquisition of real property for a public purpose and matters directly related thereto, to protect the county's bargaining power, and to consult with staff, consultants, and other individuals about pending or potential litigation to protect the county's legal position. I would note that we will also be reconvening in open work session for Wicomico County Board of Education work session.
So moved.
Got a motion second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Legislative session's adjourned. Ms. Hurley,
So we have a work session for the Epoch Dream Center, and this is to discuss the opportunity for grant funding. We have Ms. Lori Carter here, Director of Planning, Zoning, Community Development, Joanne Blackman, Executive Director of Epoch Dream Center, and Mr. John Blackman, Development Director.
good morning. How's everyone? Is it blocked Ramon?
You're supposed to call me. I'm for it.
Hebron tomorrow.
I'll be in there.
Good morning, everyone.
You can introduce yourselves from left to right for the public. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Colby Phippen, Commissioner President, Town of Hebron.
Lori Carter, the Planning Director.
Jonathan Blackman, Program Director, Development Director, Epoch Dream Center.
Hello, Ken Pick, Commissioner of Hebron.
Have you all here?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good morning. We're here to discuss a proposed project that is seeking funding under the Community Development Block Grant. What makes this unique, this will actually fall under what is referred to as the Special Project Funds. As stated, this particular organization has been meeting with administration and have been discussing their particular project. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Blackman, who has the actual project, and he would be able to pretty much explain everything that they would like to do with these particular funds.
Good morning. Thank you for the time. If you're not familiar with the Epoch Dream Center, we're an after-school program in Hebron, Maryland. We're a no cost to our participants and their families. We've been in operation since 2013. At that time, we started with 8 students. 2nd through 4th grade. We currently are serving 50 students, kindergarten through 12th grade. We have developed over the course of time and really from the beginning an outstanding working relationship with our local schools as far as recruiting our students. For the first 10 years, we rented space at Nelson's Church in Hebron, Maryland, and they've moved in a different direction and our growth required a change. We looked for property in Hebron and we were not able to find something that would work for our program needs. This year we currently moved to Cross Point Church and we're renting space there for a 2-year temporary while we pursue funding for building of a facility in Hebron. Our goal at Epoch is to nurture relationships that encourage students to develop in academics, in social development, and our program operates Monday through Thursdays after school. We break our students up into classrooms. We have activities where they participate. They have academic support. We read every day. We have meal time every day where we have a family-style dinner that we sit down with our kids and enjoy. The facility will be in Hebron. We have a phenomenal working relationship with the schools in Hebron and also with the town. And the town has agreed to a favorable lease for a property on the corner of Walnut and Chestnut Tree Road. It's vacant lots that have been that we are hoping to build a facility. The estimate right now is about a 19,500 to 20,000 square foot facility that would house Epoch, our classrooms, our administrative offices. We would also like to see a gymnasium space because activity is so important for our kids and they're involved in it every day. One of the goals that we also have, being in the west side of the county, we would like to have space available within our facility where community resources could come in and provide their services to our citizens in the area, both in Hebron and in Western Wicomico. And so we would like to have office spaces where social services or county community health could come in and provide those services to the students, or to not just students, but even residents in the area. And so like Lori said, we're looking at the CDBG money, and the special project initially would help us finalize our architecture and engineering plans with the hope of going for the competitive ask in the spring to also fund that. We currently just, I guess, quickly relate, is that enough or should I keep going? Okay. We received a state bond bill for $100,000 last year for the project. We also received $10,000 from the Hazel Foundation. Ms. Blackman could not be here today, my wife Joanne, because she's currently meeting with several of our, have been longtime supporters, but are very big supporters in our entire community. They're having a meal today in preparation for making an ask for private money there. And many of the participants there, Purdue, Hazel, Henson, Donnie Williams, Donahoe, those are some individuals that have said, we know what you're doing. They've been longtime supporters, and they're very interested in the project, and they're just ready for us to move in that place of asking. That's kind of what we're prepping for today. We will also be looking at capital bond money, just going back to the state. I understand there are going to be tight resources this session, but we're still looking at asking for that.
So today, you will kind of give them the approval to actually proceed with this particular project. We would basically schedule a public hearing where that would have to be advertised 5 days prior to the submittal. And so this is where we are at this particular stance.
Questions from?
Do we know the total cost of the project?
We don't have a final cost, but our estimates right now, we've been told $3.5 to $3.9 million is what we're looking at.
I think it's an excellent program, and I think we have to start with our children when they're young. And I hope the program also be holistic and include some of the parents, because like you're saying, some of their services.
Yes.
And I think mental health is one of the most important things. And I know the success that after-school programs have in the community, and I'm impressed that you have the community's backing and involvement, because it takes a village to raise kids, and you all, I think, starting on the right path.
James and I did a tour, actually, a few months back. And it's just the efforts that are being put into it, and it's really, really a great, great project. Glad to see it's expanding, because it certainly is needed. Question that I had, and you want to get this money as quickly as you can. They announced, I think the state announced about $63.7 million. Baltimore City is already getting like half of the projects. But I think City of Salisbury just got $1 million, I believe. So this would be good. Good to see this, because you're asking for 400, right?
Yes.
And I guess the reason that it comes here is because, to a certain degree, the state requires the county to be responsible for the project. But that's been waived, and I guess the commissioners have agreed that.
It hasn't been, no. So, but basically how it is, the actual commissioners had met, and they had actually decided that it was best to come to the county to carry out this particular funding cycle, because they really don't have the capacity.
Right.
And so they're going to kind of lean on us in order to get that done.
In order to get the funding from the state?
Yes, that is correct.
What about because there was some discussion in the brief book about a payback if the project.
So, okay, so with any particular project under CDBG,
right.
And I'm going to name a few that you would remember: MAC, Maple Shade, Dove Point. They all went through CDBG. and you had the responsibility.
Sure.
That the county would be in the actual position where if something were to happen, God forbid, we would be the ones that would be held on that.
Well, we've seen what they've done so far, so I think it's a good vote of confidence there. In the land, now that's, your land is on the corner of Walnut and
Chestnut Street.
Chestnut Street,
Yeah.
thank you,
Walnut.
Chestnut Tree Road.
Yep.
Okay. So have you sort of put that in surplus and transferred it to Epoch Center, or is it going to remain your property?
So it remains our property. It's actually where there used to be large grain towers, if anybody remembers it. They had become dilapidated, and we bought the property for a small sum, and we tore down the grain towers. We actually paid for a subdivision on the property, or paid to have a preliminary subdivision plat done. We've just never done anything with it. We were going to sell off lots. So no, we did not transfer it. We just agreed to I think is it a 100-year?
50 was the initial.
50-year lease for $1 a year for them. So pretty much it.
It's not a bad rate.
Not a bad rate.
Is there any chance in the inner workings that if you were to transfer that outright, whether the state would consider that an in-kind contribution and a matching so that you might possibly get more than just the 400 you're asking for? Believe me, I have no idea. I'm just throwing it out there.
A great question.
So in that instance, that could happen possibly for phase 2.
Okay.
But as it stands right now, we're just going for this particular one, which would, because again, we're on a very short window. So that would take some time in order to get that all together.
Yes, Josh?
Well, I'll just say briefly, of course, I've, Vice President Merritt and I have toured the property together. We've been there. We've been in a lot of conversations over the last year. It is just a fantastic group of folks that are running it, as well as the programming, the vision. So I don't know. However, all things go forward, I personally, as a council member, are going to fully support whatever we can do to help make this happen. And of course, I hope the fellow county folks can also help in any kind of way that we can think to do this. And I've been in touch with Ms. Blackman, who are just trying to talk through, other pots of funding that I know that are around or that could be helpful in the various phases. But this is a great project, great in general for the county, really great for Hebron. These are the kind of thing that people then want to move next to or want to be near, and that, of course, that's great from anyway. So all around, I love it, and I appreciate the hard work Epoch's doing to make this happen.
You're requesting a letter of endorsement, is that correct? A letter.
Yes, so at the time of the application, which hopefully, if we do get the approval, we're right in the process right now to get that done. The goal is to have everything done and packaged probably by the first of the year. So some of us will be working over the holidays to try to make sure that gets done. And then from there, we would need that support letter.
Very good. Right. Real good. Joe, you're good, right? All right. If you got past Joe Holloway, so you're okay. No, really appreciate you, the work you do. It's the least we can do is give you a letter of endorsement. I'm not kidding. You're doing a great job in Hebron, and the Epoch Center is a great addition to the community. So, and Ms. Carr, thank you so much for your.
So if there's a way that we can get scheduled, if at all possible, the first of the year, that'd be great.
Awesome. Thank you for.
Need a formal meeting or resolution, or can we just?
You would do that at that particular meeting.
You mentioned the public hearing. I'm
Yes, I'll
assuming we
have
would
to
do
have
the
that
public
as well,
hearing.
yes.
Okay, all right.
Thank you guys for doing this. This needs to be done. We need to have something for these kids after school.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate it.
Wonderful. And everyone that hasn't been yet, please come out and visit. We're more than welcome. We'd love for you to see what we do.
So, just real quick, you started with 8, you're up to 50.
Yes.
Once this project is in place, what's your potential?
We're building in capacity, so it'll allow us to go up to 150 in this facility for classroom space, commercial kitchen to provide for the meals, and then administration, and so 150 is a goal.
And if I remember right from our tour, You also provide transportation?
We provide all transportation from schools to our facility, and the parents pick up at the end of the day. When there was a transition in county transportation, and I don't know that it's even been addressed right now, the issue we face is because we serve West Side Primary, Intermediate, Mardella, Middle, and High primarily. If some of our students go to the middle schools and high schools in town, we provide their own, they still participate in our program if they wish. And so I don't know that we could get school buses now. We lost that whenever they passed the ruling about sidewalks within a mile of the after school or home.
Yeah.
I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
The license that does child care, do you have a license with them?
We do not have a license because, and we've been told by the state that it's not necessary because we're a 501c3 and or 501c3, and there's no cost to the parents to be a part of it, or no cost for the
'Cause I know
participants.
We had an after-school program, and I was in the process of getting that license
Right.
because to follow the rules, because all this the laws like child abuse, child neglect, and there are certain rules that you have to follow.
Sure.
If a child gets injured, you can't have a person under 18 be on the playground with kids and things like that. So
Sure.
I would check the rules just in case you don't have to get a license, but check the rules
Yes,
and
ma'am.
just follow them.
Yes, ma'am, for sure.
Yeah.
And I also want to thank personally the county executive for her support. We have met on this at least 3 times, and so I wanted to also say that she has been very supportive during this particular process.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You'll have a good Christmas and a good holiday.
Thank you. Same to you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good seeing you.
Mr. Blackman, I'll give you my phone number.
Mr. President, you might want to consider moving the closed administrative session up on the agenda before lunch, if that works.
Okay, at this point in time, we have to kick everybody out because we're getting ready to go into closed session. Instead of it changing the agenda, we're still going to be meeting with the Board of Education at 12:30. But as of right now, because of our time, issues with the time, we're going to go into a closed session first and then come back into an open session with the Board of Education. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
To move?
Second?
Second.
Favor?
Aye.